Welcome. I want to talk with you a little bit today about how to structure an essay when you're comparing and contrasting. So comparing really tends to focus on similarities, but sometimes when we ask to compare, you might also be including differences as well. Contrasting really focuses just on the differences between similar topics. Whether or not you're talking about differences, whether you're talking about similarities, either way, you need to think about two things. What points of comparison are you going to address? And what is the purpose of your comparison? So it's not just a list with no reason. So if we were talking about apples and oranges, which of course we can compare, uh, we want to think about points of comparison. So maybe we're talking about nutrition, taste, cost, convenience. We could talk about shape. We could talk about color. We could talk about appearance. We could talk about their symbolism in literature. But we need to think about what points of comparison are we going to talk about. And that is really going to help us think through our organization as well. But you also want to have a purpose, right? And so a lot of times the essential question is going to be that purpose. Uh, and if you aren't given an essential question, you might have to form your own question, and your thesis would be answering that. So if I wanted to talk about what fruit makes the better snack, if specifically you're a busy college student who's on the go and on a budget, doesn't have a lot of money, but wants to have something healthy and fast and quick and easy and not too expensive, but still tasty, right? Which one is going to be the better choice? And so my thesis might be something like, although some people prefer the taste of oranges, apples are a better choice for a busy college student on a budget. So I'm answering my question in my thesis statement. And I have not listed all of my points of comparison in my thesis, but I could. That is an option as well, and is often helpful to your reader. So I want us now to think about the structure. So a lot of times when people are comparing and contrasting, they have the desire to do one side at a time, and that is okay to do. It feels more natural. However, it is really easy to get it really fuzzy and make it hard for your reader to follow. So if you are doing it one side at a time, the points of comparison need to be really clear, and you need to deal with those points of comparison in the same order. So if you're going to talk about apples first, you would want to make sure you hit nutrition and then taste and then cost and then convenience. And then when you get to oranges, don't throw that order out. Keep following that same order. Keep using those same key words so that your reader can follow your organization. So then you would talk about nutrition about oranges, and then taste, and then cost, and then convenience. So keywords, same order for those points of comparison. Otherwise, your reader is going to be like, half a paper is about apples, half a paper is about oranges, but I'm not seeing the connections between them. This is actually the harder way to organize. It's just harder to do well. And make sure that your reader can still follow. So I think for most people, the better way to organize is point by point. And so the idea is you pick one point of comparison, nutrition, and then you're going to talk about apples and oranges in the same order most of the way through. So so that your reader can follow. So nutrition. What is the nutritional value of apples? What is the nutritional value of oranges? And then the comparison, the connections between them are really clear. Then you move on to taste, and you haven't, because remember, if you do it one side at a time, by the time you get to oranges, you really have to work hard to keep reminding your reader about what you said about apples, right? But if you do it this way, it's right there. Apple nutrition, orange nutrition, the connection between them. Then taste, the taste of apples, the taste of oranges, right? And then they're connected. Cost, how much do apples cost? How much do oranges cost? They're connected. Convenience, how convenient are apples? How are convenient are oranges? And I've actually written this out as a sample essay once, and we went through and like found research on the cost, and then we went to the USDA to find out the nutritional value of apples and oranges. Cost, we looked at like Vons or Ralph's and looked at how much they cost per pound. But the convenience, we talked a lot about that in a class before. And apples, you can even eat the core if you're crazy like me, and maybe you have the stem that's left, but there's not a lot to throw away or carry, whereas oranges you have to peel, and as much as I like oranges better than apples, you have to do something with the peel, you get juice all over your hands, so it's a little bit less convenient than an orange is. So, but the idea is this kind of organization is much easier to do without losing your audience, without having your audience go, okay, I heard about apples, I heard about oranges, but I don't understand the connections between them. This is actually an easier way to organize. And so I want to show you, if you're comparing texts, let's say you have two texts that you're comparing. In your thesis, again, you want to have a purpose for your comparison. What is it that what question are you answering? But you also probably want to identify the points of connection. So depending on how long your essay is or how much you have to say, you might have 3 or 5 points of connection between the different texts. And so then if you order it in a point-by-point format, you could talk about the first connection, text A and text B, the second connection, text A, text B. Now, by the way, this could be, connection 1 could be 1 paragraph, it could be 2 paragraphs. Maybe it's even more than that. It depends on how much detail, how in depth you're going, how deep you're digging. But it would be easy enough to write 1 paragraph on each of these. So if it was written this way, it would probably be a 7-paragraph essay. But if you had a paragraph for each, 2 paragraphs for each connection, it could be a 12-paragraph essay, right? And so maybe some of the connections are 1 paragraph, maybe some of the connections are 2 paragraphs if you have more to say about them. It does, but the structure, the organization, the way you move through your ideas is going to be the same. And of course, you want that conclusion at the end. So now you try.